Hello children, first chapter, The New Teacher, Arthur Kavanagh, reading. Teaching is not just a work of art, but a work of heart. You must have been taught by teachers who have inspired you. This story introduces us to a teacher who gives the impression of being a hard taskmaster and a disciplinarian, but actually loves teaching and believes in nurturing children with love. Read on to find out if she is rewarded or criticized. It all began one Sunday afternoon. Young Roger Clark was explaining why he could go to Central Park with his father instead of finishing his spelling homework. Miss Wilson, his teacher, wouldn't be at school tomorrow. She has to take care of her creases. Till Miss Wilson gets back, we will have another teacher. Miss Wilson flew to Omaha yesterday. I hope her plane doesn't crash, he said worriedly. As noisy and exuberant as any 8-year-old, Roger had another side, tender and soft. Virginia Clark assured her son, "You will have Miss Wilson safely back before you know it." Roger beamed with relief. "Well, I like Miss Wilson. Last week when Tommy Miller got tired of staying in his seat and lay down on the floor, Miss Wilson didn't mind. Pretty soon the whole class was lying down, including Miss Wilson. St. George's is fun." "School isn't it supposed to be a fun fest?" snorted his sister. Miss Wilson got down on the floor. Mr. Clark repeated, "I am sure not every day is as frolicsome." Mrs. Clark countered anxiously. The school was permissive yet quite homey. However, Roger's scholastic progress wasn't notable. His spelling, for example, remained atrocious. Friendly as St. Geoffrey's was, Mrs. Clark sometimes did wish. "So can I go to the park with you, Dad?" Roger asked. "All right, but the minute we return, it's to your room to finish your spelling," Mr. Clark insisted. Monday morning, school started off normally. Entering school, Roger skipped away eagerly to play before the 8:45 school bell. As usual, he had packed a supply of baseball cards for trading opportunities, a spool of string, in case anybody bought a kite, a water pistol for possible use in the lavatory, and a police whistle for sheer noise value. As the bell rang, Roger's class swarmed up the stairs in rock-licking spirits. "Hey, what's going on?" Jimmy Murray demanded. As the front ranks reached the classroom, instead of a cozy semicircle as usual, the desks and chairs had been rearranged in stiff, rigid rows. As if in answer to his question, he heard 2 claps behind him, as loud as and menacing as thunder. "You are not cattle milling in a pen. Come, form into lines." Heads turned in unison, mouths fell agape as each child stared at the lady with rimless spectacles, tall and straight as a ruler, clothed in an ancient tweed suit. She bore a potted plant in one arm and Miss Wilson's roll book in the other. Her hair was grey like a witch, as were her eyes. Firm lines patrolling back and forth. The new teacher kneaded the grade into position. Sloppiest I have ever seen march. She clapped time with her hands and the stern ranks trooped into the classroom. "Class, be seated, hands folded on desks," the new teacher barked, and the class obeyed. She carefully installed the potted plant on the sill. Plants and children belong in classrooms. Both grow with proper care, not by giving in to the whims. She strode to the front of the room. "I am Miss Orville, Orville," she spelled. "Before my retirement, I taught boys and girls for 46 years. I am beyond trickery, so I advise you to try none. Since I have no knowledge of your individual abilities, perhaps a look at the weekend homework will shed some light. Take out your notebooks at once." Roger's head spun dizzily. He had returned to his room yesterday, but alas, not to complete his assignment. He watched, horrified, as a tweed figure approached. "You call this chicken scalpermanship? RR rip." A page was torn out and thrust as its owner. "Redo it at once." It assaults one's intelligence. Then moving on. What is the maze of ill-spelled words? Not a composition, I trust. Miss Orville was 3 desks away. Roger opened his book bag. It slid from his grasp and crashed to the floor. Books, pencil case, cards, strings spilled out. Oh, cried Miss Irwell, as she promptly seized the toys. We have come to play, have we? Long before the week's end, Roger, the happy-go-lucky youngster, was replaced by a nervous child, continuously glancing over his shoulder. Mrs. Clark got the first inkling when she went to pick up her offspring. The third grade made a subdued and dazed exit from the building. Among them was Rosa, who quickly led his mother down the block. Words erupted from him. We got a witch for a substitute teacher. She is from Hansel and Gretel. Miss Awful is her name. She steals our toys, children's our plants to her. His mother offered to treat him to a soda. Who got time for sodas? He moaned. I have punishment homework to do. 10 words 10 times each. I got every word wrong in today's spelling test. On Tuesday, the third grade marched down the school steps in military precision. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. The stiff-backed teacher counted before dismissing them. Turning, she surveyed the wide-eyed mothers and walked up to Mrs. Lambert. Mrs. Lambert, your son threatens to grow into a useless member of society. He watches television for 3 hours every evening. He idles through his homework, scattering mistakes everywhere. I suggest you supervise him more closely. With a brief nod, Miss Orville left. It was a full minute before the mothers recovered enough to speak. On Thursday, Nancy Reeves, Bruce's mother, remembered where she had seen Miss Orville after she had received a compliment from her. Mrs. Reeves, there has been progress, Miss Orville had said. On Monday, young Bruce's penmanship was comparable to a chicken's if a chicken could write. Today I was pleased to award him an A. I know who she is, Mrs. Reeves remarked later. Remember when those old ramshackle buildings were torn down last year? Miss Orville was one of the tenants. She had lived there for ages and refused to budge, sitting in a rocker on the sidewalk, surrounded by furniture and plants. Her picture was in the papers, a dirty retired school teacher. They found a furnished room for her. Poor thing evicted like that. I remember she couldn't keep any of the plants. On the way home that day, Roger asked his mother, what does eviction mean? It's when somebody is forced by a law to vacate an apartment. At the door to their apartment building, Roger pointed at a corner of the entryway. That's where the cat used to sleep, remember? I wonder if it was evicted too. Soon it was Friday. Miss Orville told the class, I am happy to inform you that Miss Wilson will be back on Monday. This afternoon will be my final session with you. Not that discipline will relax, but I might read you a story. Only a few hours of the terrible reign of Miss Orville were left to endure. A certain spirit of defiance crept into the room. At length, the third grade talked of nothing except how to get an even with Miss Orville. We could rip off all the dopey leaves from her old plant, a girl suggested. We don't want to do that, Roger said. Let's call it quits, not understanding why he objected, but no one listened to him. After lunch, Miss Orville opened the frayed volume of Treasure Island. You must know the tale of young Jim Hawkins and Long John Silver. No, I don't, said Tommy Miller. We don't, some voices jeered. Miss Orville lowered the book. No, children, you must not do this. To attend school is a privilege. You must not mock. Thousands of children in the world are denied the gift of schooling. Isn't it enough any longer to accept a gift and make no return for it? Not with the world in the shape, isn't it? If I have been severe with you this past week, it was for your benefit. The world needs good citizens. If I have helped one of you to grow a fraction of an inch, if just one of you. Her voice faltered. She had just noticed the torn and bare stems of the plant. Miss Orville said after a moment, to be truly educated is to be civilized. Here you see the opposite, violence and destruction. She turned and faced the class. Whoever is responsible, I ask you only to be sorry, she said and returned to her desk. At the close of a class that afternoon, there was no forming of lines as all the children ran out. Only Roger Clark stayed behind. Miss Orville was emptying the desk of her possessions. "These are yours, I believe," she said to Roger. In her hands were the water pistol, the baseball cards, and the spool of string. Roger stuffed them in his coat pocket, yet stood at her desk. "Yes?" Miss Orville asked. Roger stood back, lifted his head, and spelled flower, Flower. He looked at Miss Orville's brimming eyes. "Castle, Castle." Then he walked from the room. So dear children, if you liked my video, please like it, share it, and subscribe it, and hit the bell icon. Thank you for watching.